trying to find out what happened.
Okay, wasn't you just talking to her? Can she provide all them information to you?
Well, let me ask you this. I was just talking to her. What if she told me that you beat the out of her and you jumped on top of her and started punching her in the face? Should I just go ahead and take that?
Okay, but don't you know?
It's your side of the story. Give your side.
All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You get what I'm saying?
Gervonta "Tank" Davis has finally spoken up after reports of his arrest and news that the Jake Paul fight has been canceled. Davis is now facing a new civil lawsuit with very serious domestic violence accusations. His coach and team have stayed mostly quiet so far, giving only brief comments. Meanwhile, Jake Paul's November 14th event is in serious trouble as promoters look into the situation.
Lightweight. So, by all means, if they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is he not having a rematch with the fella he got a draw with? Why is he not fighting? Why is he not going up a weight and fighting Lopez and Garcia's and them fighters? Why is he fighting Jake Paul in an exhibition? I get the money's great, but he's in the prime years. This is his best year. This is where he can become. Maybe you don't want to be an all-time great. Maybe you don't want to do all that stuff.
This new civil case, filed in Miami-Dade, accuses Davis of battery, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and emotional distress. If these claims turn out to be true, the consequences could be huge, both legally and for his boxing career. As of now, this is only a civil lawsuit. No new criminal charges connected to this case have been filed so far.
WBC lightweight world champion Gervonta "Tank" Davis was arrested earlier this week for closed fist slapping his daughter's mother. What's a closed fist slap? Is it like this? Bro, you can't be closed fist slapping women. You can't be slapping women at all. But don't you know your hand is like Thor's hammer? Bro, you can go to jail for even flicking somebody, man. Don't you got a fight coming up? Or are you trying to ruin your career?
At the moment, Davis has not made a long public statement to defend himself. Instead, early comments came from people close to him. His coach recently said Tank is doing great and that they are still trying to understand what's happening. It's a short and careful response meant to protect Davis while lawyers and promoters deal with the situation. Jake Paul's most valuable. Promotions confirmed they started an internal review after the lawsuit became public. They stated they do not support any kind of violence, and they are collecting information before deciding what to do next. Technically, the fight is still on the schedule, but it may be postponed or completely canceled depending on what comes out of the investigation. Several insiders are now saying the November 14th event is basically done. Journalist Dom Mare wrote on X, "I'm hearing it's being postponed. Not sure of the new date, but I'm about 80% sure November 14th is canceled." The fight was originally expected to be in Atlanta at State Farm Arena, but later moved to Miami. The matchup had the perfect formula for modern entertainment: a massive influencer versus a world-class boxer. Viral hype meets real boxing power.
When a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they are putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix. The size difference.
The fight rules created even more interest. Davis, a lightweight world champion who normally fights at 135 to 140 pounds, agreed to face Jake Paul, who usually competes closer to cruiserweight. At the press conference, they confirmed a 195 lb limit and 12 Oz gloves, along with other conditions. Davis openly questioned the size difference and the unusual rules. Still, a sold-out arena could have made this one of the biggest events of the year.
It's Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I want Tank Davis to knock his block off. I'm sick of the Paul brothers, both of them. I can't stand either one of them. And I know I'll get pounded with emails. He's just jealous. No, I'm not jealous of them. I could care less how much money they make. I don't like their attitude. I don't like the way they conduct themselves. I don't like the way they think.
Across social media, many boxing fans feel frustrated with Gervonta Davis. They argue he's avoiding top fighters like Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, and instead chasing a big money match with Jake Paul. In their view, money, not competition, is driving his choices.
He wasn't gonna ever fight no Shakur Stevenson, no Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis's whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers, because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was all right, but he was never like that. He was okay. He was some trash, he was some trash. He ain't.
Originally, Davis was expected to rematch Lamont Roach after their controversial first fight ended in a majority draw. Fans believed Davis would settle the score and protect his legacy by winning a clear rematch. But once the chance to fight Jake Paul appeared, with far more money and global attention, Davis changed direction. Reports say Davis could earn around $50 million for fighting Paul. Analysts note this reflects a major shift in modern boxing. Legacy fights are now often set aside in favor of crossover events that bring in massive pay-per-view numbers. For Davis, this fight wasn't just about boxing skill. It was a chance to reach a worldwide audience far beyond typical boxing fans.
He's in a division where he's got killers all in his division. You know, Shakur, Haney, who's 147. You know, you look at Teo, for example, Keyshawn, and then you choose to fight someone like Paul. Surely that's a concern when you do look at it like that.
Yeah, but again, it's the well-being. If you can get huge amount of money to fight someone who's never boxed really before, you're going to do it. You know, Floyd Mayweather boxed Logan Paul with a huge weight disparity.
He was done by then.
I know,
he was done. Like, this is an active world champion.
But it's the well-being.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. You know, when it comes down to it. It's just like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Two completely different sports. Was the biggest pay-per-view in recent times, wasn't it? Maybe if ever.
Those are like different comparisons, though, if you think about it. Do you not like?
Yeah, but the sport's in a wild place, isn't it? That's just, like, I'm just like the reality of where we are, you know. And I can't really say much when we're talking about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua at the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think Tank should get stripped of his title?
Yeah, I think anyone who, just in general, doesn't defend their title to do something else should get stripped, because it shouldn't hold the belts up. You know, in any, like, I think that should be the reality in anything. You know, if you're not going to defend your belts, or you're not defending, sometimes there's the rules. Obviously, if you fight for a belt at a higher weight, you can retain the belt until there. But if you're not, don't have intention of defending the belts, you shouldn't hold the belts up. People should get the opportunity to fight for them.
What happened with the failed negotiations between AJ and Jake Paul?
I think anything's still possible. That was always discussed for next year. You know, this fight's November, early part of next.
Former world champion Carl Froch didn't hold back. He called the matchup an absolute joke. Froch claimed that a fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua was almost completed, 99% done, before Jake changed direction. Instead of facing a heavyweight like Joshua, Paul chose Davis, who is nearly half his size. Froch saw this as proof that Jake prefers headlines over real competition. Fighting Joshua would have been a major test. Fighting Davis, he argued, looks more like a sideshow.
Fight against Jake Paul ain't going to happen anyway. It ain't going to happen. We can all believe it. Jake Paul.
Eddie Hearn said it's 99% done.
Because you know what? Jake Paul's done a great job in hustling Eddie. Yeah. He's going to get so either Eddie's in on it, or he's like this young man hustling. Yeah. And so the kids kidded the kidders.
Well, listen, we've had a chat, we've caught up. We'll have another chat as well in a...
I'm going to do some sunbathing, man.
Days, bit of sunbathing. Top up the town.
Yes, I baby.
Might as well.
Black is the number.
Let us know in the comments below who you think wins the fight and what Anthony Joshua should be doing next. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know in the comments below.
This has been another episode of Froch on Fighting. Got the main man here, Johnny Nelson, aka Blickman. We'll see. He said it, not me. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been playing?
Nakisa Bidarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, responded confidently to critics who worry about Jake Paul's size advantage. He insisted size won't decide this fight, saying Paul only pushed for a higher weight limit because he's less experienced. Bidarian also said this matchup was not last minute. It was planned long ago after talks with Canelo Alvarez fell apart. According to him, Davis has been wanting this fight for years, and once the Canelo fight collapsed, Paul became the focus.
Happened November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, there's gonna be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition. We're gonna make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, the gloves. It's gonna be the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? And the reason I ask is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight, and after his fight in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight. And people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing? And has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't gonna happen and came back, or was this always the plan?
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude, and he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been...
Bidarian acknowledged the obvious size difference. Paul is bigger, taller, and has a longer reach. But he believes Davis's skill and experience outweigh the size gap. Tank has been a professional for over a decade, holds world titles, has a nearly perfect record, and is known for his knockout power and timing. Paul is improving, but he has not yet faced someone on Davis's level.
But so is the skill and experience difference. One man has been doing this for 23 years, since the age of 7. The other picked up the sport 5 years ago and has virtually no amateur experience. So the size difference is what makes this plausible. The king of the jungle here is Tank Davis. He is the lion, taking on the young elephant that is Jake Paul. The lion is looking at me like he's about to eat me. The lion is fast, he's fierce, and he's fatal when he strikes. But the young elephant is big, powerful, and hard to knock down. And come Friday, November 14th, the jungle will be set in tropical Miami, Florida, and the world will be watching live.
Commentator Joe Rogan agrees that Jake Paul has brought younger fans into boxing and created excitement many promoters couldn't match. But Rogan questions whether Jake is finally stepping into waters too deep for him. Jake's biggest wins came against older fighters or people from other sports. Davis represents elite speed, knockout power, and years of top-level experience. Rogan respects Jake's courage, but wonders if business hype can survive when the punch trading starts and no social media followers can save you.
It's like, what if Jake Paul knocks one of them out? Like, what if you get a guy that, like, hasn't been tested and maybe has some promise and maybe gets wrapped up in the hype and maybe gets a little nervous, and this is his first chance at a big show, and Jake Paul can crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as fuck. He can crack.
But Eddie's point in that interview, and I think the point that just about every boxing aficionado would say, is that
Paulie Malignaggi, former 2-division world champion admitted he never expected this matchup. He said this announcement was shocking and came out of nowhere. Malignaggi praised Davis's career, saying his achievements speak for themselves. Even with the size difference, he said skill like Davis's is rare and special, and fans should not overlook his legacy.
Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks...
The answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion in multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Algieri, the champion, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you. You're probably going down if you're a small guy if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him...
A former sparring partner of Jake Paul gave a blunt prediction. He says Gervonta hits incredibly hard, and Jake has never faced power like that. He warned that Jake may feel confident from beating retired fighters and older opponents. But Tank is on another level. According to him, when Davis lands, he doesn't just score, he causes real damage. He believes Jake will quickly realize this challenge is far beyond what he's experienced, and that Davis is the breaking point for Jake's risk-taking.
And every single time, people said that Jake would get finished or he would lose a fight, he obviously proved everybody wrong. But I genuinely believe this time, I think that, with Gervonta's boxing IQ, and him having Jake come down a little bit in weight, I think Gervonta will beat him, honestly. I think Gervonta will hurt him. I think he'll just use IQ. He'll tire him out a little bit. And, I think he'll land. Gervonta knows how to touch his opponents. But it's interesting because when Floyd fought Logan, the size really, really made a big, impact. And you saw Floyd struggle, against a big, Ohio corn-fed, wrestling strong dude. And, I've sparred Jake and Logan before, and they train hard.
You're picking Tank by knockout?
Look, I sparred them years ago.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier added a different perspective. He believes Jake Paul's Netflix fight with Mike Tyson showed a new direction for combat entertainment. Cormier said many underestimate Jake, but he takes training seriously and has improved. Whether people like him or not, Cormier believes Jake is changing how boxing reaches mainstream viewers, and that alone is success.
Twice, big numbers. Jake Paul fought against Tommy Fury, big numbers. Jake Paul, who I believe, and I have told you guys this time and time again, he's much better than people give him credit for. One, Jake Paul is not an amateur fighter, like some try to say. Jake Paul has money, so Jake Paul is getting trained by the best boxing coaches that money can buy. He's full-time boxer. There are a lot of people that say he may do some other stuff. I don't know who he was gonna fight that was saying that he was juiced up and he was ignoring him. Or was it Logan Paul? One of them. But at the end of the day, this kid's training to be the best fighter in the world, or the best as he can be, and he understands what losing would do to the perception of who he is in fighting. We were yelling so much about him fighting someone. Fight somebody your size. Fight somebody, a real boxer. Stop fighting MMA guys. There were so many things that people were mad about in regards to his level of competition and the people he was competing against. Well, today, we learned that Jake Paul has his next opponent. His next opponent is by far the most credentialed guy.
Do you think the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight is collapsing because there's not enough interest? Or is this all part of a bigger business plan? Share your thoughts in the comments.